I'm Jade, and I am excited to be here today with Michelle Aalbers, and we are going to be talking about how to run virtual summits, so online retreats in the healing space. So for healing practitioners, for spiritual practitioners, for intuitive readers, tarot readers, psychics, mediums, all those different kinds of umbrella of the healing realm. And I'm going to be exploring why looking at creating and hosting online summits is such a fantastic thing to be doing in 2026 for your business. If you are someone who runs a business and you're curious about this and you're thinking, I'm really sick of hustling on Facebook and I'm exhausted with Instagram, I'm exhausted with watching reels that say I can go viral in 5 seconds, or other people trying to sell you programs that say, aren't you sick of Facebook and try this strategy? And I'm looking at a new realm here that I feel like is incredibly important for where we are going as light workers, healers, readers, spiritual workers in 2026 and beyond. And I'm going to talk a lot today with Michelle about what inspires her to create her practitioner list, like how she recruits speakers, why it's a great format to expand your business, expand your community, and be able to create a space where people who are looking for healing and also looking to connect with practitioners can actually find a really safe, supportive community. I'm going to look at the structure of how you structure online summits. So if you're thinking about doing this, if you're thinking it might be something you want to do for your business, I'm going to pick Michelle's brain about this because I'm a bit of a structure queen and I love to just, say, oh, you can just go. I don't like to say, go and do this. I like to say, this is how you can do this. That's my sort of way that I function in my brain and how I like to teach my students when they are running their businesses. And I also want to look at, marketing and how you market these kind of things in today's world as well. I've got a couple of other little topics. So looking on how you decide on what themes are going to appeal broadly to the audience. And I'm going to look also at things like breakout rooms and gallery readings as new and different ways that we can be accessing psychic readings and healing practitioner sessions as well. I'm also going to be talking about her aligned and integrated summit that is coming up in the end of this month in February, and how you can get access to that as well. So if you are new to my channel, please do subscribe so that you can get more and more of these types of interviews. And for those of you who don't know me, I am Jade, and I have taught over 90,000 students on Udemy and my own platform of the Psychic Healing Academy on how to read tarot and how to connect with your guides and angels, as well as how to run a tarot business. And I'm thrilled to introduce, I'm going to shut up about myself and talk to Michelle. So Michelle Aalbers, she is an intuitive strategist. She's a podcaster. She is the creator of the Choose Yourself program, and she's also trained in Thai massage. She is also a Reiki specialist, and she also does tarot readings. And she hosts retreats to Thailand, which excites me so much whenever I see her posts on Facebook. Michelle is one of my former students and graduates from my Advanced Tarot and Psychic Business program, and I decided to do this because when she was talking to me in our coaching session about her retreats and her summits, and then she actually invited me to be a keynote speaker at her summit that's coming up, I was just so thrilled, because those of you who know me know that I'm really passionate about looking at alternative and innovative ways of being aligned with what we want to do in this purpose-driven soul work that you've chosen to do as a healer, or to help benefit the planet, or any kind of way that you are connecting with your spiritual growth and personal development. And I'm really passionate about doing that and adapting to what is our AI reality, basically. What is our algorithm reality, which is that, big companies like big tech, they are just trying to keep you on there as long as possible, which can actually be very disconnecting if you're someone who is practicing, meditation, self-care, healing, wanting to heal yourself on your journey, wanting to heal others. So for me, online retreats and virtual summits are incredibly exciting as an opportunity. And so I'm going to hand the podium now over to Michelle. Thank you, Michelle, so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me. So I consider myself still a student of yours. I know I've been through the program and all of that, but I learn something every time we speak. And I mean, to be fair, we're all each other's teachers and students. I feel that way. But I really appreciate the way you teach and how you go about it. And I'm so grateful that you said yes to being a keynote. And I think that might be my first point is if there's someone you want to be part of an event you're running, any event, in person, online, you don't know unless you ask. And so you have to be bold enough and brave enough to say, hey, would you be interested in doing this thing?
Yeah, like there's a lot of vulnerability in that because we're also sort of sensitive to rejection right now. So being able to be brave enough to ask people.
It's easy to make assumptions. Make us, oh, she's busy. I see all the things she's doing. She's not going to have time. You know, we can tell ourselves all those things, but step one is make your connections, figure out what you want, and then go for it. And it's okay if it changes. Like for me, I can't have this really rigid exact thing that it's going to look like. I have to be a little more like, okay, well, we're going to try this and then we're going to see. Because I never know for real what's going to happen. And sometimes you get surprised. And I guess maybe not everyone ticks this way, but I tick in a way where I kind of need to cover all my bases in my brain before I execute it out into the world. And then I know that it's still like I still might not have covered all my bases.
Yeah, yeah, and look, that is the journey of the online entrepreneur, which so many people, when they're starting their healing businesses or their tarot businesses, they just don't realise, and I didn't realise it, that you have to continually, that adaptation and flexibility, and it's not like being in a job where someone hands you the rules. Like you really have to think on your feet a lot. So I'm going to start like with my line of questioning of what I got excited about for you and looking at what made you get into this? Like, what made you? Because I teach a lot of people who run tarot businesses and are out there hustling and trying to attract clients, and I was fascinated by, again, the brevity and what made you decide to do summits? What appealed to you about the online retreat summit format?
I mean, my most honest answer to start with is nothing. I didn't want to do it. I really, really, really resisted it. I really resisted it. And then, COVID happened and lockdown happened, and I had a studio and I needed to pay rent. And
Oh,
I started doing things online and I wanted to help. And so I started offering free meditations and free classes on how to handle the chaos if you're an empath. And that was all online. And I lost my voice. I did so much of it. And at that time, people weren't, they didn't want to be on camera and on mic. It was all new. Nobody was used to virtual at all. And so I feel like over time, we've become more able or engaged with like, well, this is part of our reality and we don't have to step into it. But I think many of us are choosing to. And that was the most beautiful thing about the aligned and integrated thing is that I started my business in 2011 and I've met amazing practitioners from all over the world since then. And I originally started looking in person because I was still stuck on that. I want to do this in person. I want it to be this cool conference type healing event. And then I started looking into that and I realized the price tag of that was absolutely like not gonna work for me because new events don't grow instantaneously. And it would have been me asking a lot of people for them to pay. And it would have been a lot of risk and liability for me with no guarantee of even recuperating any of my costs. And then I got the download, the divine download saying, you're going to do a virtual summit. And I was like, oh, yeah, no, I'm not. I'm not gonna do that. I want no part of that.
for those of you out there, I don't want to interrupt her beautiful narrative, but can I just say, if you are new to starting any kind of healer practitioner business and tarot business, this happens all the time.
Yeah.
It comes in and then you go, I'm not doing that. And then
Yes.
it's like,
And
yeah, you
then
are.
you say that long enough, and then what I call the spiritual 2x4 comes along and kind of, slaps you in the face, and you go, oh, yeah, okay, I am going to do this, and it's going to be just fine. In fact, it's going to be great. But I didn't start at a big, huge online virtual summit. I started with virtual classes and smaller things. And then I went from virtual classes and even weekend retreats that were virtual. I made them hybrid, which was both in person and online, which was a very interesting energy to navigate. But I kind of love it. and also know that I have to have a certain level of capacity to offer that.
Yeah.
And so that comes on and off my schedule based on where my capacity is in life. And I think that's one thing I have to say to everyone. If you're considering doing this, really know and understand your capacity. Know and understand what you have the ability to do right now, because it might be a great idea, but it might not be a great idea right now.
For me, like what I love about it is when I first received your proposal for what you were doing and asked me to be the keynote speaker, I was like, oh my goodness, this structure is so cool.
Yeah.
Like I loved it because I've seen Hay House and other people do summits before. And what I loved about Michelle's is, and if you are considering doing something like this for your healing business, then I love the fact that she has included a lot of potential to interact with the actual practitioners. And for me, this is how I'm not going to say beat or defeat because I don't like those words, but that is how we are going to adapt to AI, really, is by the in-person, as much as possible, human, touch to what is going on. So for me, healing as such a personal thing. And so Michelle has in her, well, I can let you sort of describe how they work, but things like the interactive workshops and the gallery reading. So can you talk a little bit how they work and just how the structure is of your summits and how you came up with those structures?
Yeah, some of it was live and learn, right? It was like, oh, I did that and that. That was either too much for me or too much for the attendees or too much for the practitioners. And
can you give
I'm
us
still
an
living and
example?
learning.
Is that okay? Just so people think, in case they don't know to do that.
So the first summit that I did, I decided to have 4 different tracks of, wait, was it 3? I think it was 3 different tracks of classes being taught. But then I wanted this meditation room over here running the whole day. So every hour on the hour there was guided meditations.
So when you talk about
Yep.
tracks, that's like 3 different subjects.
Yes. So like in one track there was like yoga and Ayurveda.
Yeah.
Yep. In one track there was like yoga and Ayurveda, and then there was like personal development and coaching, and then meditation because it goes so well with yoga. I was like, oh, just have a meditation room where people can go to. And here's what I didn't realize.
Wait, sorry. Sorry. So when you talk about the rooms, that's the Zoom rooms, isn't it?
The breakout rooms, yeah.
Breakout rooms. So on Zoom, you can choose which one you log into. Yeah.
Yeah, well, they're placed into which one they registered for. So it's all one Zoom link.
Yeah.
But the breakout rooms are labeled and structured in such a way, and so that people could say what class they wanted to go to or which thing they wanted to attend, and then we could put them into the rooms that they wanted to be in.
Right.
And
so it's
then
kind of like being at university and you're enrolling in this class and this class, but you're doing it on Zoom.
And I went back and forth on like, do I just let people float around? And I just decided out of respect for the presenters and all the attendees that I was going to make it so that my tech team had to move them from room to room. So I had to make sure the logistics worked, right? Is there space in between things for people to have time to get moved into the next room? So I learned a lot. I learned a lot about like, I should be really more communicative with my presenters and make sure they understand like, hey, just give it like 3 minutes at the beginning to make sure everybody's in your room. And it's why I invested in an app that can help with scheduling, because then people can see where they're going and what times, and they can see who's in their class. And because the first time I used Google Forms, it was all manual and it was way too much for me. So those are the kind of things. It's like you work those kinks out in real time.
So people, when they enroll, they register particular classes within the summit and they get to choose a box of how they do it.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
Okay.
And they can change their minds. Nothing is rigid about it. If you want to leave a breakout room, leave a breakout room, go do something else. If you decide you want to book a one-to-one session, which is a separate breakout room that's private with just you and another practitioner, go ahead and do that in the middle of a class. That's okay. That's your choice. I'm not trying to be rigid, like you have to do all these things my way, but also there's like a fine line of like, how can we respect everyone in the room and make sure that we're holding space, because that's the thing about a virtual container. It's like there is space to be held. You might feel like it's different or there's not, but it's almost like more.
So talk to me a bit about the practical elements. So the breakout rooms, the gallery readings, and the interactivity of the presenters with the people that are coming, with the patrons?
Yeah, it's very similar to this, only it would be in a breakout room. So there might be 4 classes or 3 classes running at the same time, and you're in a room. It feels just like this, and that presenter, some are more lecture heavy, but all are engaging in some way. And it's the ability to connect with other members in the room via the chat, sometimes with mics off. I encourage, some presenters are like, you want me to teach for a whole hour? I'm like, no, you can teach for 40 minutes and have Q&A and chat time at the end if you want to. I'm not rigid in how long you go. Like, nothing about this is dictated by me other than the structure and like the vibe of the event.
Yes.
So it might be an hour session, but you might take 5 minutes at the beginning to just chitter chatter and drop in and connect and get to know each other. And then you might spend 15 minutes at the end taking really great questions, or again, connecting with people. I think to have that time for connection is great. Some classes will go the full hour, and that's okay. Like the gallery style readings will be that full hour. And Adam is actually one of the gallery readers. He's doing palm readings, which is amazing. I asked him, I said, are you willing to do palm reading gallery style? And
Oh,
he
so
said,
is
yes.
that
I
just
said,
like, so you hold it up and then, oh my
no,
God.
we're going to collect pictures. I'm going to ask them. So a lot of this is going to be preemptive work on my part to make sure that everybody has what they need to show up and serve. And I've met so many amazing people from, like Adam does. I live in Minnesota. Adam lives on the East Coast. You live in Australia, right? There's people from all over the world that can come together. And my biggest passion is that when people are wanting to heal, that they find modalities and people that they vibe with, whether that's community, like attendees in the audience, or whether that's the practitioners working their gifts and what they're passionate about, or whether that's just the fact that we're all in a room together for a purpose of kind-heartedness and compassion and community and connection. And so it's a beautiful way to do it. Is it different virtual? Sure. But the most feedback I get on my virtual events is the energy of the room was palpable. It's like, yes, because we come in intentional.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, before I go in and talk a bit more about gallery readings and the workshops, the gallery readings I want to just quickly point to what is interesting as someone who regularly does go to conferences, and I do love online, conferences and retreats. But what is fascinating is quite often what is now, for people that are who run them, that are quite sensitive to the fact that a lot of people are very sensitive to big crowds and lots of energy. And so it can get very wearing down to sort of show up to see speakers when there is lots and lots of people around. There's a lot of benefits, obviously a real life hug, but meeting people. But I can see just being able to take things at your own pace and being able to sort of pick and choose what feels relevant, what's resonating with you. You might be in a breakout room and I assume something might start triggering you and you're thinking, I really feel like, no, I'll watch the replay of this instead of listen to it now. That kind of freedom, I think, is offering a lot of really good opportunities for people who are needing to get some healing or needing to connect with other healers and feeling like they need that container, as you said, that space. So I love that. So talk to me about the breakout rooms. Do they happen after so someone gives a presentation and then there's a room that happens afterwards? People can go along and chat about it. Is that what a breakout room is?
The breakout room is where the classes actually happen.
Oh,
so I have however many breakout rooms I need for that time period. And I preemptively do this, by the way. Do as much work beforehand as you possibly can. Do not wait until that day. I literally had this meetings. I set up these meetings months before it's going to happen. And I test it and I retest it and I test it again. And then I test it again just to make sure I understand the logistics of all of it, because there will be attendees and practitioners that need help navigating the tech. And it's my job to make this as easy as possible for all of you, right? That is what I'm here for. I'm here to host, hold space, solve anything if somebody does get triggered. I'm capable of navigating that and making sure someone is accessible to support and hold space for that as well. That's another thing to think about, right? If you're offering a big, huge healing day and someone is triggered and needs support, do you have a plan for that?
Yeah.
I do. I make sure I do. That's important, But yes, everything happens in its own breakout room. The main room, what I call the main Zoom room, actually is almost like a QVC marketplace. I have a girl who is amazing. She sells handmade jewelry and crystals and self-love stuff and all these different things. And she just is really good at talking about why the stuff is important. It's not just sales. It's connecting to why you might need this for yourself, or why you might want something like this, or how you might, even if you don't buy anything from me, how you might take care of yourself in this way that is compassionate. And so in between kind of her things, it's just a space to hang out and converse.
Yeah.
But she's also there to, and it's where I welcome people in, and it's very casual. So like, she knows that there might be times where I have to pause her and be like, hey, like, we need to address something here or something like that. But
yeah. So so people can choose to go into that main room at any time.
Anytime they want.
So I'm asking these questions for those of you who are thinking, how would I run this? So you need a main room, and then you have breakout rooms where the individual topics are.
Yep.
And how do you decide on the topics? What kind of topics? Well, if we speak about the aligned and integrated one, talk about how you pick those topics and what topics you think are best for these kind of online summit formats. If someone is, say they're a tarot reader, but they've also got healing background, how they pick what's going to work best.
I think it has to start, maybe that's strong, but it feels like it has to start, you have to be able to organize it in some way. Because if it's all just like scattered across a canvas, like there's no logical path for the client to follow, even the presenters, right? And so for me, it came about, it's like what I do and who I know. So far, I've only invited people that I know. So they're not just like vetted practitioners. These are loved friends, teachers, students, mentors, peers, Yeah. I don't know that it'll be that way forever, but it will always require an interview, and some sort of an intuitive knowing on my part that they're meant to be in the room. I trust my intuition without fail most of the time, I guess. Obviously I resist, so I need spiritual 2x4s, right? So obviously there's like, something there.
I was meant to meet that person because they taught me that I really need to be better at that.
But I am really deeply connected to I get my gut feeling, I get my knowing, and my claircognizance is strong, and I trust that. And
so you would recommend then for people, don't just go out willy-nilly and advertise it in a Facebook group if you're looking for speakers. Look to recruit speakers that you either know have quite a solid reputation, or they've done similar things like that before, or you've worked with them in some kind of level.
That's my comfort zone and my ethical lane. For me, if I'm inviting people into a room to receive healing, I want, one of my big things for me personally as a human in my own healing journey is safe spaces. Like community doesn't always feel safe for me. And so I want to offer a safe room. I also recognize that what feels safe for me isn't safe for everyone else, but I at least have to do my due diligence to, like, for me, this room, I trust it. Yeah. And I get that it might not be for you, and that's okay.
No, and that's important. Like, again, those of you thinking about doing this, there is a level of, when you attach your name to a product that you are selling and someone else is involved in it, and that is why I, rarely say yes to the sponsorship, especially, on Instagram, people reach out to me, go, we love your XYZ that they've never really looked at, but, would you sell our jewelry for us? And I'm like, well, no, I'm not jewelry. That's not my lane, but and I don't know if I trust your jewelry or whatever it is you're selling or want me to represent as a face of your brand. Like, so I think that is really just that integrity of going, okay, I will only work with people who seem to have the same ethos as I do in this space.
Yeah. And there's no expectation. Like, I also know that, like, not every practitioner is for every person. So you might dance with some practitioners that just aren't for you that day. That's why you get to leave the room. Yeah. Like, you're never locked in a room. You always get to leave a room, but you're going to be put into rooms, just because logistically that's what works. That's what works for how I organize it. So
talk to me about the different types of practitioners that you sign up to be your practitioners.
Well, so I plan on doing these quarterly, and each one will have a different theme. Like the one that I did in October was more yoga, meditation, pause, and life coaching. This one, February 21st, is way more metaphysical. It is gallery style readings, it is metaphysical classes, but it's also holistic well-being and personal development. And so those are kind of like the three tracks, but then there's these hour-long gallery style readings kind of interspersed throughout the day.
So what is a gallery
like
reading? Because I don't know what that is, and that's embarrassing because I've been doing this
No.
for 17 years and I don't know what that is.
So it would be like if we're in this room together right now
Yeah.
and I have my tarot deck out and I ask if anyone wants a reading. And then they raise their hand and then I call on them and then I give them a reading, but it's a reading in the collective. So they understand that I'm going to read in front of everyone because spirit never just talks to one person. I find spirit delivers messages to the room. There's usually, and maybe it's not fair to say spirit never talks to just one person. That might not be true. Like it's very much a personalized, like if you were on right now, it would be a personalized reading for you. And inevitably there'll be a handful of other people or even just one where it's like, wow, I really needed to hear that today. And so I just ask everyone have an open mind or just like be here to listen and receive whatever's here for you and leave whatever isn't. And that's okay. There's no must here. You know, when Adam does palm readings, he'll be reading someone's palm very specific to them, right? It's nobody else's palm. And inevitably when Adam's in a room and I'm sitting at a table with Adam, even because occasionally I've been able to do that, even though we live in different states, we've connected in person. And inevitably a lot of us at the table will go, oh, wow, I needed to hear that too. So it's just like, just because it's on someone else's palm doesn't mean there's not a divine grace or divine message there for you. And so it's beautiful to do these readings in community because inevitably you also learn you're not alone and you never know. I just find I'm always surprised. And then I have another person doing mediumship. And then I'm doing tarot readings over lunch hour. So it's like, you can have your camera off if you don't want to eat on camera. I'm okay with that. But it's just, I'm doing it over the lunch hour in that, like, join me if you want to, very casual, no need to feel like you need to be on for it. But just a nice pause in the day and just to have some fun, get some divine messages and also be a little silly. My spirit guides tend to be direct, but funny. So we'll see where we go.
Oh, I love it. So talk to me, this is going to be a subject that some of you, don't click off yet, stay with me. Talk to me about basic level of the tech stuff without getting too techie. So you talked already about an app that it's really good to have is it the schedule app? Is that right?
Yeah. The Sched app.
How the app functions. Is it just Zoom in an app or what else would people need to either invest in or explore? What's available free? What do you have to maybe pay a subscription for?
Yeah, you don't have to use the app. I did the first one with Google Forms, but that was just too much. You could do it all via email correspondence and a notebook if you wanted. Like, how much time do you want to spend? But for me, I just realized that because I had tech help and we weren't all in the same exact room, I need a way for them to see things in a better way. And so for participants to see them and the presenters to see them. So like Adam could log into Sched right now and see who's in his class. You could log in right now and see who's in your class. Angie could log in right now and see who's in her class. And that'll change and ebb and flow.
Yeah.
But so I find the app helpful, but that costs money. Yes. That's not free.
Yes.
But I decided it was worth the investment and it might take me a few summits to get that back, but that's okay. I'm willing to invest in that because I want to, these feel important and it's a passion project for me. This isn't about like, I don't know. It's about connection and community and offering people the opportunity to come together and just see if there might be someone in the room that they were meant to meet. And it might be one or it might be 10. I don't know. It might be all of them, right? But chances are there's a few people in that room, in the Zoom room, that were meant to find you or you were meant to find.
Other tech that you need to buy, obviously, besides Zoom Pro, is there anything else that needs to be integrated into what you're doing besides that?
I do. I don't. I mean, I think there are other apps that programs like Zoom that would be capable of doing it. Zoom just happens to be one I already have, I already use, and so I use it. So
Yeah.
you could definitely do your research and perhaps find something better, different, cheaper, more expensive, whatever you are looking for.
Yeah.
I think the other thing for me, if you're going to do a larger scale thing like what we're describing for aligned and integrated, you're going to need to hire some tech help. Don't try and do it alone. I'm there as a host, and if I'm trying to do all the other things too, then I'm not going to be a good host. And so just, again, know your capacity. What do you need? And I don't want to say figure it out, but lean into and consider what you need before. Like I had this whole thing mapped out and I had it figured out, so to speak, logically before I ever started moving the parts. And then I got to a place where I was like, okay, I think this is going to work, but I'm not entirely sure, but I need to start moving the parts because I won't know until I get things moving.
Yeah. Yeah. And so for you, when you talk about tech help, and again, this is for those of you who are considering doing something like this. And again, those of you who are thinking about this, you'll probably be starting a bit small scale. So I think Zoom's a good option. It's a budget-friendly option. I've seen other seminars, and I've been participated in other online seminars where they use other tech stuff, but it is quite expensive, and it takes a long time to learn it. Whereas most people are familiar with Zoom for your speakers and stuff that can come in and easily adapt to it. Tech help, talk to me a bit about that. So you hire someone who works behind the scenes to make sure people are entering the right room, or if they've got questions, or how does tech help work as a part of your team when you're doing this?
That's it. They are there. So I make it clear. I actually I have their names, Tech 1, Tech 2, so that then if people need help with tech in the chat, they can just chat any one of the Tech 1, Tech 2, and then they'll know that they'll be able to help them.
Yeah.
And I make it clear. It's like, you can try and chat with me and I might be able to engage, but recognize that I'm hosting this entire room and everyone in the room and everyone who's going to be coming into the room and all of that. And so your best bet if you need tech help is to message tech. Yeah. And then yes, they get people into the room, they help people who can't figure out how to get out of a room, right? Like all those things happen. It's not, even the SCAD app is lovely, but there is going to be a learning curve, which is why I wanted to invest in something, because then when people, like now that they've learned it, the next time it'll be easier. Not that they're going to come to every one, but if they want to, they already have it done and they might find it elsewhere as well. And so it's like, there's always going to be a learning curve with tech. There's always going to be a learning curve. But make it as easy as possible for yourself.
Yeah.
But you need tech to help you move people around and to answer those questions, because inevitably you're going to get more than one. And you need someone to be able to answer those, because otherwise you don't want a frustrating experience for attendees or presenters. And that was a learn as I go thing, right? Like, oh, I might need a little more help. I might need to not use, I might need to use something a little more sophisticated than just email questions back and forth, or a simple form that doesn't auto-populate anywhere else. I mean, it was tedious and could have been a lot easier.
Yeah. So 2 questions with that one. When you are hiring tech, do you just get that through Upwork, or how do you source tech?
Yeah, sometimes friends.
Tell you why I'm friends. Okay, that's awesome.
Sometimes if you have techie friends that are willing, I pay people. I'm a believer in, like, I'm not going to ask you to work for free. But yeah, Upwork, Fiverr, there's a lot of different places.
So looking at places, if you have techie friends, but also Fiverr, and what do you say to them? This is what I need you to do behind the scenes. I need you just to be answering emails or answering chats. Like, what's their role? If you were going to advertise this on Upwork or Fiverr, what would you put as the ad that you need from them?
I never know if they want to know exactly what the event looks like, but if I offer it up, like, hey, if you want to see an example of what I'm actually running, here's what it is going to look like. But I think just to describe what it is, I need to know you're comfortable with Zoom. I need to know you know how to move people in and out of breakout rooms. I need to know you know how to answer questions graciously and be helpful, right? And be patient. And I mean, really, it's only Zoom stuff. Here's the other piece to think about, and this is where I landed and why I was so comfortable doing this and just taking a chance and seeing, like, well, we'll see if this works. Because in my head, I was like, well, it's going to be like a hotel conference, except we're going to do it virtually, and we'll see. Just know that if something goes wrong, figure out how you can make it right, and then it doesn't matter. If you know you can make it right, then it's all going to be okay.
Yeah. I love that. I mean, that is, for me, I mean, that's one of the pleasures of actually doing these kind of live Zooms even, is that I get to sort of go, oh, I've made this really ridiculous mistake, but it doesn't really matter. Let's just move forward.
Yeah, I'll make it right, whatever that looks like, right?
Awesome.
And the worst case scenario, whatever the worst case, what does that mean? I give everybody their money back and I lose a bunch of people because I lost credibility? Maybe. I don't foresee that happening, but if that's what it takes to make it right, would I do that? Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's where I landed.
Yeah, awesome. So what for you would you give as excellent marketing tips? Like, how do you start to promote it and get it out there?
Yeah, just like you do any other marketing, right? You just got to get out there and you got to talk about it over and over again. For me, for these events, I really like to get a feel for what the practitioners are going to present before I start talking about them. And then I like to introduce them through my lens. Yeah. Not that it's about me, but just that, like, you can see what they wrote about what they're going to do. And then I know a little bit about who they are because I happen to know everyone. So then I can put my personal taste and touch on it. And then for these particular events, it's a collaborative effort. I mean, this is communities coming together. This isn't me running an event from the top down, making everything happen all together. This is all of us coming together with our communities and our people to get into a room to serve. Even the attendees are serving in some way.
Yeah, I love that. I love it.
And so for this one, it's inspiring collectively so that we can all talk about it, be about it.
Yeah.
But email, social media, right? Like all the different ways.
So before, I'm going to take some questions in a minute, but before I do, I just wanted to ask, like, any additional tips you've got. So you've already given us a fantastic thing about how, what not to do, not to create too much overwhelm for people because they'll, any additional tips if someone's saying, I think I want to start running this, I'm a bit nervous, you've talked about how you come up with your subjects. So your three subjects for this next one are spiritual growth, personal development, and holistic wellness. Is that correct?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So what are any additional tips you feel like you could offer people who are thinking, how could I add this to my business model and structure? And what should I never, ever, ever do?
What should I never, ever, ever do? I think a lot of it starts with knowing really where you're at with it all. Like, I was really resistant to tech and virtual. That wasn't the time for me to start it. I had to chew on it for a little bit. I had to plant the seed and sit with it and then try it, but try it small scale, right? Like, I gave free meditations online. Come join me. Cool. It would be great. And then I was like, oh, maybe I'll try a little class. And then it was like, oh, come join me. It'll be great. And they were. And then I learned how to create that safe container, whatever that looks like for you and for your people, right? Like sometimes cameras off don't feel good in a room when we're digging into really deep healing because you don't know who's on the other side. And other times to have cameras on feels like not required. And so for me, it depends on the space, right? But I think just knowing where you're at and really understanding where you are, 100% start small. Do not bite it all off all at once. Even, I didn't think I was starting super big, but I definitely started bigger. I did. I'm not afraid of going big. But I'm also mindful about how big. And the other thing is just really be mindful of your capacity. Where are you landing with this? And are you willing to do, this is a lot of work on the front end and on the back end. And you have to do that so that when it's the present moment, you can drop in and be present and hold the space and be in the flow of whatever's happening at the event. And you can't predict all the things. It's not about controlling it all. It's about, do I trust myself to show up and be me in the best way possible? And if that answer is yes, then go for it. And don't be afraid to ask. Don't be afraid. If you're in a room and you're inspired by someone and you're like, hey, would you like to be on my podcast? Would you like to come be a keynote speaker? You'd be a great presenter at my event. I'm getting a really great vibe from you. Do you want to talk about that? Right? Understand what you're going to want from this. What is your intention? But there's a fluidity that is required when doing this sort of thing. Like there's this rigidity of the outline and the structure of all that it has to sort of be in order, not even sort of, it has to be in order. But then also there's this like beautiful, it's a playground. I went from like resistance to I don't know, to like this is a playground. This is fun.
I love that.
You know,
That's really, and that, that is such amazing advice for all of you out there who are, looking at different ways to put yourself out there. And I feel like fall in love with your business again in this,
yeah.
2026 region of owning and running a healing or tarot psychic healing business is to fall in love with those passionate projects. Because that is what, for me, I know in my 16, 17 years of running a business is when it's like, it's when the momentum comes back. Once you like, oh my God, I really love this, rather than just, oh, I'm doing another reel on Instagram to talk about this. And, like it's a feeling where, and I agree with you, I know my own business would not exist to this day if I had not found community to be with and grow. I feel like planting seeds together is it just quadruples your absolute participation and your growth, but also, your financial growth. I think it's really powerful. So
the other thing is be willing to learn. Ask for feedback after every event that you do. To hear what worked for them and what didn't is such a beautiful thing. And you can refine things and make it so much more accessible because you have a very unique view of the whole picture. And to just hear what people thought of it, like what they loved about it, what they didn't, what you could do better, what went well, what didn't. It's so helpful.
look, for me, like when you look at sorry, I'm giving you guys an idea for your own, if you're wanting to create one, roughly, and you might not know these numbers, but roughly percentage-wise, how many people do you think attend live and how many people watch replays?
It's surprising to me that not everyone buys the replays, but I'm a replay human. I like to go back and watch everything. It's not, I think it's maybe only 10% that actually go for the VIP and buy the recordings. But here's the other thing about virtual events. In a hotel, if you get tired, you go back to your room.
Yeah.
People don't do that. They don't leave the Zoom room. They're there all day long. I was like, holy cow, you guys are troopers. I just was expecting a little more like, in and out. And there just wasn't. I mean, I guess maybe it's just they're good events. But like, I also just think once you're in the Zoom room, I don't know if there's like fear you won't get back in or what. It's all the same link. It's like, make it as easy as possible. But
I'd say it's probably, like what you're talking about, a bit of column A, column B. I'd say it's the, they're in the energy and they don't want to FOMO. They're like, I might miss something,
Yeah.
but, like I'm in now. But they're also in the comfort of their own home at least, so they can kind of go get a drink of water and they can, take a text message. But also it is, as I mentioned previously, I've been in amazing conferences, but you sometimes just need to go and sit in the toilet and go, I can't talk to anyone anymore.
Yeah.
So I feel like that space of being able to just absorb and participate and not feel like you're rude by not participating, that social niceness, especially for those of us out there that can be a bit introverted at times, so it probably feels like a very safe space to heal and to connect with practitioners that you want to know more about and see more of and that are sharing their wisdom and knowledge. And, so I can see why people want to stay. It feels like a safe place to stay once you're in there. I love it. Thank you so much. I'm just going to check if I've got any more questions. But while I am, anyone attending live, if you have any questions, please pop them below. And I'm also going to, if you're on YouTube, do pop them too. So I'll send those off to Michelle as well. And I'm also, those of you, so as we spoke about, I'm the keynote speaker and I'm going to be speaking at this one coming up in February about being able to hold your magic as a tarot reader, a practitioner, spiritual worker, life coach in the age of AI and algorithm, and so that you can remember what it is that you signed up for in the first place. So why you decided to pursue a passion for tarot or mediumship or being a Reiki practitioner, like why you did that. And because it can feel so overwhelming when you are making the decision to be online, because when you're online, you just feel like it's so cerebral, and even what we just talked about then as techie, and and, the hustle, and it can feel really like that's not what feels good in your heart or what feels good in your fight or flight sense of exposing yourself constantly to that rejection but clickbait. And so I'm going to be talking about how we can overcome this and what I feel like is going to be how collectively healers and readers are going to be able to benefit moving forward with current technologies, but also our old ancient wisdom and magic as well. So that's my keynote that I'm doing. There's going to be the details if you're on YouTube and if you're receiving the replay of how to access Michelle's brilliant and amazing, and I'm so excited to attend it and be a keynote speaker, virtual summit. And it'd be great if you could go along just to see how they work yourself if you are curious about how they work. There's lots of incredible goodies there. As we've said, there's those breakout rooms, there's gallery readings. I might get you to say it because you're going to say it better than me. I'm going to be like, I know what's there, but you're actually the one who's running it.
You made a really great point that I would love to circle back to. You said get into other rooms, attend other events. Before you run an event, attend other classes, events, summits, retreats that are online, and then go. You can go as a participant and a student, but also go with the mindset of I'm paying attention to what I like, what I don't like, what worked, what didn't, because it's really helpful. That was half the reason I knew kind of how I wanted to structure it, was because I had done I've attended so many virtual things that I was like, oh, I love this part. That's amazing. So that's just really helpful. But yeah, there's 3 different tracks. There's 12 hours worth of classes. I mean, they're all running at the same time, right? So you would have to buy VIP to get all 12 hours of classes. There's 3 hours worth of gallery style readings, which I believe there's still room in all of them, but those do have limited seats because, especially for the mediumship one,
she's like, a ticket, you get access to those. You can go into any of those readings or the palm reading. Like said Adam's doing those palm readings. You can go in there. Yep.
Yep. It's an $88 ticket that gets you in the room for everything. The only thing that's extra is if you want to do a one-to-one session with any of the practitioners that are offering them, that's $20 extra each. Wow. So it's meant to just be, they're 15-minute sessions for $20, but $88 gets you all the things, the gallery style readings, all of it. So it's just a great way to meet a lot of different practitioners. Angie's talking about energy and the different ways energy works, and it's just all of it is going to be, I just can't wait. I love these days. I mean, they're long.
Yeah,
I'm not going to lie. They're long.
That's long for you.
It's a long time to hold space, but that's the thing too. Be really intentional with your energy. Be intentional as you lead up to these things. If you can really know your capacity and how you nurture yourself, these things are just, they flow. There's ease there that isn't when you scramble first.
Yeah, and it sounds like, I mean, Michelle is a woman after my own heart in the way of, preparation and structure and, rehearsing beforehand is just so crucial. It's definitely not something you can wing it, because people, it might be online, but people do expect that same level of professionalism if they were, in a 5-star hotel attending a conference. They expect that because they're paying for it and they should get that as well. So raise that bar of your standard, because that, and, again, what I'll be talking about in my keynote is just being like, if you want to earn income in this field, then it is really, really important to go, okay, what's YouTube doing and how can I do it better? Like people who are getting free stuff on YouTube, then what can I do better than that? So looking at that as an avenue, I love it. And I love what you said about that. That's amazing. And I can't wait to see everyone. And I think that is an incredible way to bring people together. But also I'm like that. I'm excited to go and just see all these different practitioners. So how many different practitioners are there that are there?
I think it's 15, 16 or 7. I think it's 16 with me.
Yeah. And you said they come from all different, you mentioned there's the palm reading, that Angie's talking about energy, there's, what else have you got on the little smorgasbord?
So many different things. Oh my gosh, I'd have to pull up my app. I mean, there's I have a friend who's an herbalist. Well, she's a lot of different things, but she's going to talk about the body's wisdom. I mean, they're all so good, and I really don't want to leave anybody out. I'm like, I can talk about the people who are here, right? But there's so many things. There's a music opportunity about like music and your emotions. There's just like so many different practitioners doing so many different amazing things. There's some Akashic records, classes and readings. There's just meeting your spirit guides. There's just so many different classes, and there's a ancestral wisdom shamanic healer who is a former nurse, and she's going to talk about kind of both things, like, you know, traditional medicine and traditional medicine, right? Like both. I don't know. I just, you know, connecting with Mother Earth, and there's just like all these these are amazing humans who have changed my life. And I say that with love and reverence, not because I think they have to mean that to you, but just come in the room and explore and see, you know, and just see. There's so many.
Thank you so much, Michelle. Thank you for your
You're
generosity
welcome.
in sharing that. I hope that has inspired anyone who is thinking, maybe I could do something just a little bit different, getting myself off the hustle of having to be on social media all the time, or having to feel like I've got to constantly produce, you know, big courses and things like that. Something that is takes a lot of work from the back end, but it's, you know, you have this one exciting 12-hour day, and then you've got all these incredible benefits for your business. You know, people start to get to know who you are, what you're doing. You're exposing others to incredible healers and practitioners. I think it's a fantastic business addition for anyone who's thinking about doing this. So thank you so much for that.
I do see a question in the comments.
Yes, I'm just looking now. I'll just quickly
Thank
read
you
the
so
comment.
much.
Nat asks, how do I get opportunities as a tarot reader in a virtual summit to do readings? So what would you recommend to her if she wanted to do readings for a summit?
That's a great question. And I circle back to, you don't know if you don't ask. If you see a summit that has readers, reach out.
Yeah.
Reach out and ask. See if they're looking for more readers, you know?
Yeah.
I don't want every single summit to be the exact same. I want there to be new faces and people coming in. Not to say that there won't be repeat practitioners there, right? If there's a favorite class, there's a favorite class. I'm not going to take it away. You know what I mean? But I think ask, find other summits. I mean, I'm always open to that conversation, and get yourself into rooms. That's such a generic statement, but like, find events that you want to be a part of, and then make your face known.
Yeah.
Ask questions,
Yeah.
you know, even if you don't ask right away, maybe you just get in the room and be a participant that's active, so they don't forget you for some reason.
Yeah, and look, that is a really, really relevant point. I hope that's helped, Netta. Sorry, is it Netta? I haven't got my glasses on, Netta. Vanity. Sorry, is it Netta? I think it is. I can't read that. But thank you, lovely. That is a really good question and an incredibly good point for me. And it can feel really confusing when you are starting a business and you're trying to get yourself out there and you're trying to find employment opportunities as a tarot reader and a healer, because it's that thing where you really do have to put yourself in the rooms. It's almost like thinking about being an actor. You know, if you go to Hollywood or, you know, LA, you have to get out there and network and meet people and see people, because, you know, there is a lot of people auditioning for parts. And so I know that Tash Corbin, who's a good friend of mine who runs in-person retreats in Noosa in Australia, so she runs them, they used to be called the Lady Posse ones. I think they're just called the Heart Centered Business Conference now. Like, for her, none of her speakers get to speak as keynotes unless they've already purchased a ticket or they've come along and they've seen it. So I think that's important to just go, you know, show up to these things and get yourself known. And, you know, whether they're in-person retreats or they're online retreats like this, like, once you get known by people, that's how you kind of get employed, I guess is the best way to put it. It's very different to just, and look, I know this because in my business, I get sent a lot of emails. Like, I get cold called a lot by people saying, "Hi, I saw your course on, you know, Udemy. I saw Tarot Card Success, and I want to do your website, or I want to run your Instagram," and I just ignore them, because for me, I'm like, well, yeah, no, like I need to know who you are a little bit. So people trust who they know. So Netta, I think definitely if you start finding similar conferences to this or even this one, show up to this one, start meeting people, get to know people, and then that's for me usually how that work flows. That would be my best advice
Yeah.
is, I mean, obviously you can always email someone, send them a resume, do all that. But I would definitely try to get in the room, if that makes sense. I hope that helps,
Yeah.
Netta.
And the other thing is if you've never done a virtual tarot reading, do some virtual tarot readings so
Yeah.
that you are comfortable with it. And then you have, if they ask, have you done this before? You have an answer to that question, but also like, how do you do it? You have an answer to that question too. Because there's usually going to be some follow up if they're asking to be part of something.
Yeah.
Like as a host, I want to tell me more. Tell me why you want to be part of this. Tell me how you do this. How does this usually go for you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good question. That's a really good point because even if you did cold call someone and say, hey, I want to be on, your podcast, or hey, I want to be on your virtual summit, then you definitely want to show them you've got experience doing this format. So the format of gallery readings, of being in a room with, 4, 5, 6, 10, 50 people and being able to manage that. So I would definitely, maybe start doing that in your own business. So maybe, advertising to start practicing that and build some authority and build some reputation around doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would definitely be that's an awesome hint. But thank you, Netta. Has anyone else got any questions? If not, or if you are on the replay, pop in replay. Love to hear your comments, questions, ideas, anything. As Michelle mentioned, she does run these quarterly. So that means that there's going to be more coming up if you're watching this later than February 2026. So do look at, if you're thinking, oh, wait, I'm watching this in June. So, come and check in with Michelle, see what it is she's doing. I'm going to put all her details of her socials, her website here, and you'll be able to find out more of that. And there is also obviously a link to the current one, which I'm doing my keynote, if you would like to sign up for that. And I am an affiliate of that, so if you pop my name in there as well, if you feel comfortable doing that when you go to the checkout. But otherwise, I might see you there giving my presentation, which I'm very excited about and I've been working on for the last week. And those of you who have sat here and visited us live and who are watching on the replay, thank you so much. And I'm just going to go big mwah to Michelle, and thank you for sharing
Thank
your wisdom
you.
with us today.
Thank you so much for
Thank
having me. This
you.
was great.
Bye.